the social fabric of what's about to happen of not having children. I mean, this is how civilizations die.
Birth rate is collapsing across basically every developed nation. And all of the things that we were told would make life so much better now seem to be making life disappear. So let's talk about what's really causing this and why the West might not come back from it.
How bad is our birth decline?
Oh, it is shockingly bad. So we are now at 1.6 per woman. Our replacement rate is 2.1.
I thought we were at 2.1.
It's been about I think 8 years that we passed the 2.1, and then there was a mild uptick in COVID. So people were hopeful. They were thinking, well, maybe it was just an anomaly those last few years. But then there was a steep decline since COVID as well. I mean, the millennial generation, I think it's something like, we're older millennials. We're like, I think it's 1980 to 1986 is called the elder millennial generation. Something like 58% of us have children. Yeah, the lowest in history. So it is going to be a shock, a huge shock, when our generation ages and there's no one there to do important services, but just like the social fabric of what's about to happen of not having children. I mean, this is how civilizations die.
And the part that should scare everybody is that there's no like reversal in sight. That 1.6 number, that's not going back to 2.1 unless there's a serious shift in priorities in this country. I don't know if you've ever seen this show. It's called 16 and Pregnant. I'm sure you've heard of it. Maybe you've even seen it. It was very popular when I was younger. I think it was in 2009 that show was created. I think that show alone did a serious number on my generation. People were not like, okay, yeah, I get it. Don't have kids at 16. Got it. It didn't stop there. It was sort of, oh, don't have kids at 20. Don't have kids at 21, and so on. I even recall seeing people like post on social media saying things like, wow, I've pretty much had to tell myself that having children at 23 is normal. So that show alone did a hefty number on my generation in terms of like encouraging people not to reproduce.
How is it going to affect us?
So
This isn't something I've talked about.
Yeah, so one, it's the economic situation is going to get very bad. When you think of, the boomers are the largest, I think, generational cohort. They're living longer than they ever have. You need service workers. You need people to be able to take care of these aging people, right? It used to be that you were taken care of in the family. We don't do that anymore. Now we have nursing homes, right? Like, it's very rare that someone moves in when they're at a certain age with their children and are taken care of. But if you don't have people paying into the system, doing the labor, being able to do the things for the elder generation, society starts crumbling. So South Korea, I think their birth rate is the lowest of any country, any industrialized country. I think it's 0.9. And when you have fewer and fewer people, no one's doing the jobs. Japan is also heading this way. Their birth rate's quite low.
I mean, even China's dealing with this. They had the one-child birth
Yes.
policy, and then they boarded all of the girls.
Yep.
So now they just
Yes.
have...
The most short-sighted thing they have ever done to their society that will eventually catch up with them is the demographic collapse that they are going to feel because of one child. Like, they're trying everything now too. They're trying to end divorce, right? Like, so there's now a policy, at least that I read about in China, where you have to have like a 90-day cool down period so that you don't divorce. They're trying to encourage young women to have children. Young women don't want to have children.
They're bringing in women from other countries, from what I understand.
Yeah.
They're sending them out to go find wives in the Philippines, Thailand,
Yeah.
Japan, everywhere.
Well, at least China is actually doing something about it. Like she said, they implemented a mandatory 30-day cooling off period before couples can finalize a divorce. So you file and then you wait a month and you have to show up again and confirm you still want out. And I believe that policy alone dropped their divorce rate quite a bit. And then they also passed restrictions like banning irrational divorces. So meaning people, mainly women, can't just walk away over vague claims of being unhappy or unfulfilled. And I don't know if you knew this, but women also initiate 70% of divorces in China, by the way. So, it's not just here. And they're also clamping down on abortion access, especially for unmarried women. So by restricting abortion access specifically for single women, they're trying to discourage casual sex, discourage single motherhood, and then push women toward marriage and family formation. I think it's the right idea. Obviously, their political structure allows them to implement these policies directly. Like, they're not battling 10 courts, endless appeals, and a bunch of activists trying to strike everything down. Meanwhile, in the West, we're still arguing about whether women should feel pressured to have kids before 30. Meanwhile, China's locking down divorce, banning casual abortion, eliminating feminist ideology, paying people to build families. And we're too scared to even say that birth rates matter, or else it might offend the women. Many here in this nation seem to be stuck in like a gynocentric trance that they just can't seem to get out of.
First step is acknowledging it, but it is, 1.6 is a long way to come back from, especially with a millennial generation that, waited way too long to have children. Because when you look at sort of our parents' generation, a lot of people didn't go to college. They started adulthood at 18. And sort of the fertile window, you could say, for women was between 18 and 40, say. Like, that was sort of the nominal window of when you could have children and it was socially acceptable. And then we had this incredible push against fertility and against, having a family young that I think the millennials really caught wind of. It's like everyone needs to go to college, extended adolescence, like use your 20s to experiment and enjoy life. Like, you don't really need to be focused on having a family. And what happened is the average age now of a first-time, I think, mother in America is 28. So 10 years after that, 18. So you've cut the window in half. The average age of a first-time father in America, I think, is 31. And that's for both college educated and not college educated. If you add on college on that, which I think is a real issue, it's even higher. It's like the average age of a first-time mother is 30. So you can understand how the birth rate's being cut in half if the entire window of when you can have children is cut in half. Because people are so focused on career and, finding themselves and sort of their extended adolescence rather than focusing on building a family earlier. You're just going to have fewer children. And then when you have fewer marriages, that also cuts it. People are living a lot longer too, which means they're going to have to work a lot longer, which means they have to be healthier for a lot longer. And so, if you have people living a lot longer and fewer people who are being born, it's just, it's society inverts on itself. You have a very top-heavy society of people who are older who can't do the work that needs to be done to actually protect a country.
Has any nation reversed this?
The one anomaly in the Western world or in the industrialized world where they are well above birth rate replacement is Israel. And so there's questions about, is it because it's a religious society? They have a pretty large religious Orthodox community, right, that kind of makes up for the rest of the secular society that doesn't have children. If you have a family of 8 and 9 and 10, that's 10% of your population, then you can make up for some who are not having any. But we don't have that. What's fascinating to me about this is that this isn't a country-specific problem or a cultural-specific problem. It's really all industrialized nations. But you can't ignore the memes and sort of the cultural destruction that happened since the 1970s, in my opinion, which is family bad, individual good, right? Like you shouldn't have to sacrifice yourself for the needs of your family. And the minute that people across the Western world started believing in sort of this like individualism, that's where you see just the family completely destroyed.
How do we fix it?
I think you have to change the culture. I think you cannot change a spiritual and a cultural problem with economic policies. So the sort of easy answers that a lot of economists and sort of people who study this say is, okay, well, we need to make healthcare free, make birth free, make women feel more, feel that they have more benefits, maybe pay women to do work, right? Like pay them to stay at home. And, some of those ideas, like, I could say our healthcare system is expensive. It is expensive to have a baby in America. So making that cheaper on the margins, might affect a mother who says, okay, I have 2 children, maybe I want to have a third. But I actually think the bigger problem is cultural and spiritual.
I think it's the culture too. I think it stemmed from, the feminist movement.
Yeah.
Where it was get out, get a job, provide for yourself, you can do everything, which, yes, but it deterred women from having children.
Yeah.
And then women that do have children, it's almost like, me and my wife talk about this all the time. If you say you're a stay-at-home mom, it's like it's frowned upon in a lot of areas in the country. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking? Like frowning upon us on a stay-at-home mom. What's more important than raising your kids? Yeah. And then I don't even know how single mothers do it.
Yeah. It's the hardest job in the world.
It's you have to make it okay, and you have to take care of the single moms out there.
Totally.
You know, it's scary.
Totally.
And I think about it. It's terrifying. I don't know how they make ends meet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the culture change is paramount for
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
On the stay-at-home mom thing, I think the reason a lot of people look down on it or talk bad about it, well, I guess I shouldn't say people because it's not really men doing that. I don't see that happening much unless we're talking about really progressive men or like male feminists. Your average guy, and especially, you know, any right-wing guy, isn't out here hating on stay-at-home moms. If anything, most respect them. A lot of that negativity actually comes from other women. And it's because they're bitter and jealous. A lot of women, you know, they just can't afford to stay home. And they end up stuck working jobs that they don't really like. So when they see another woman who does get to be a full-time mom, has got the husband, you know, got the ring, got the kids, they get mad because, well, they probably wish they had that too. But instead of admitting it, which would take humility, they just turn it into like a judgment thing. They pretend like they're more powerful, more empowered because they're out working and chasing careers. But I do disagree with Sean a little bit on this part where he says, you know, with the whole we need to take care of single moms thing. I think we've had enough of that like messaging, honestly. I think we've done enough of that already. I think it's time we kind of distance ourselves from single mothers again, and like instead of babying them even more, I believe we need to shame that lifestyle again and make it more taboo like it used to be. And you know, maybe that sounds harsh to some people, but it's necessary.
A lot of the research, it's always fascinating to me, the things you can't talk about. You know, we can talk about the problem, but there's certain things we can't talk about that add to it. And you'll see, you know, economics is always a thing people want to talk about because it's like, oh, well, if we could just fix it with an economic policy. But no one ever talks about what you said, which is that feminism did change the memes and the culture. But at the same time, no one talks about when you introduce birth control into a society and tell women, you know, you can control your own destiny. That is a huge part of it. Like all of these declines in the industrial world started at the exact same time that the pill was introduced. So, you know, we're not going to go back to a world that is pre-pill. Like that's just never going to happen across, you know, both Western society and the industrial world. But I think you actually have to acknowledge all of the factors. And the fact that a lot of the people doing this research won't even acknowledge, oh, something magical changed in the 60s and the 70s related to healthcare, related to how we, you know, abortion was made legal in 1973. Other nations followed. When you look at those as inputs into the story as well, it's like there's a reason why the birth rate is so low in these countries.
The truth is, any nation that adopts feminism, rejects conventional values, and gives women access to abortion is setting itself up for collapse. Once you tell women that motherhood is, I guess, optional, career comes first, babies are a burden, and abortion is good and empowering, this is where it leads. You can't sustain a civilization on, well, individualism, like she was saying. And feminism, it promised women freedom, but really all it delivered was depression and anxiety, corporate slavery, and a dying society. Obviously, fertility rates are an issue, but here's the other side of it. Even the kids who are born, many of them don't get to grow up in stable homes, and it's because modern women are initiating divorce and destroying families, and then having meltdowns online over their own decisions. And that's exactly what happened in this video right here. Check it out.